going over the basically the next couple rounds of weather that we're going to be seeing over the next 36 hours or so, and we'll break it down for you all as we go along here. So we haven't really seen much in the way of organized severe weather for a while, so we need to start to take a look at things and remind ourselves what we need to be looking for here. So the main messages we want to get across is that there are basically going to be 3 rounds of weather. The first one being this evening into the overnight hours. And so we expect periods of moderate to heavy rain with isolated embedded thunderstorms, mainly across central Georgia. But what we're going to be seeing is this stationary front, where most of the precipitation is going to be riding across later this evening, will eventually lift up to the north, and we expect some showers to get into northern Georgia through the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. The severe threat looks pretty minimal with that. We just don't have the instability in place. Round 2 is going to be more of a concern for us. As we see Monday afternoon into Monday evening, we're going to have more scattered and discrete showers and thunderstorms that develop ahead of the front that's going to be moving into the area later on the evening into the overnight hours. So we're going to be seeing a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms across north and central Georgia. We'll go over a little bit more in depth of what we will expect, but overall, large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes are all possible during these hours and during this round of possible severe weather. And then our final round, round 3, will be Monday evening into Monday night. The front will cross the region during this time, and a line of strong to severe thunderstorms kind of co-located or just ahead of this front will be working its way from northwest to pretty much southeast through the evening into the overnight hours, and that will be giving us damaging winds, possibly isolated tornadoes, and large hail with that as well. So this is really going to be the area of concern for us. These two rounds of precipitation and thunderstorms will be what we are focusing on with the webinar. But we will briefly go over what we're expecting this evening into the overnight, which is periods of moderate to heavy showers and isolated thunderstorms, which will be possible along that stationary boundary, which is situated across southern and central Georgia. And then eventually it will start to lift up through the overnight hours, giving the northern portions of Georgia a little bit more in the way of precipitation. What we're thinking is the timing is going to be around after 6 p.m. or so today, and then we're going to be seeing possibly a more of an increase as we get into the evening hours across central Georgia, and then more scattered in the way of showers as we go through the overnight hours. So by 3 a.m. or so, we do expect a lot of this to start to wind down. So by the time we get into sunrise tomorrow, there might be a little bit less in terms of activity for showers. So like I said, mainly across central Georgia and then lifting up to the north. And the primary threats are going to be heavy precipitation at times, strong wind gusts with the heavier downpours, and the rainfall totals will be around an inch across central Georgia and upwards of maybe a quarter of an inch or possibly less across far north Georgia. So there is a little bit of a gradient there. Our confidence is pretty high when it comes to this round, number 1 for weather as it moves on through. So this is what we're thinking in terms of the showers moving in and some isolated thunderstorms to be moving into the area. You can see central Georgia does get a lot of activity through the overnight, and by the time we get towards 6 a.m., things are starting to clear out across much of the area. So then that brings us to round 2 and 3. So when we look at the Storm Prediction Center and the Outlook, we're seeing a good portion of the area is in slight risk. And then there is an enhanced risk across the northwest tier, which is associated mainly with that evening line with the cold front that's going to be moving through. So this is mainly the area. You'll see portions of northeast Georgia doesn't have that slight risk. It's in the marginal. There is an air mass that will be in place, a little bit cooler of an air mass. So we're thinking the storm potential will be a little bit less in that area. But for round 2, what we're thinking is the mechanism is going to be scattered storms. They're more discrete, not as organized, whereas round 3, which is going to be coming Monday evening into the overnight hours, that is going to be more organized with that front moving through. So for round 2 and 3, location that will be impacted are both North and Central Georgia, with the primary threats for both of these rounds being large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. So when we take a quick peek at the severe thunderstorm probability, you can see here that we have a hatched area and also a 30% chance of severe that is co-located with that enhanced risk for severe weather. So with this with the hatched area, we could see large hail greater than 2 inches in diameter, damaging winds greater than 70 miles per hour, and isolated tornadoes. Some may be strong. Some typically with a hatched area, they're looking for strong and maybe longer lived tornadoes. This setup may not be long track tornadoes, but definitely we have potential for seeing tornadoes. So that's mainly across northwest Georgia into west central Georgia as well. So those are the areas of concern. And also the ingredients are there for us to see those impacts. So we just wanted to kind of highlight those areas. But really, a good portion of north and central Georgia are going to be seeing the possibilities for some severe thunderstorms. So let's dive into round 2 here, which is going to be Monday afternoon and evening. So this animation, this simulated radar, is showing you some of the discrete storms that is going to be developing ahead of this cold front, and a lot of this activity will and may get started across central Georgia, but really we have to look at a lot of variables here for storm development, for the time, extent, and intensity. A lot depends on the rain in the morning, the cloud cover in place, and that cooler air mass to the north. So we have to watch out for these features, because that is going to tell us and really help us in terms of forecasting what type of severe weather we can expect. Because if we have rain that lingers, if we have a lot of cloud cover and a cooler air mass in place, that is going to temper the severe potential. So the main timing for these strong to severe thunderstorms, I do believe is going to be Monday 2 p.m. To around 9 p.m. Just ahead of that front that's going to be working its way into the area. So those that can expect to see these more discrete storms, that will be again across north and central Georgia. Really the entire area has that possibility. Maybe the northeast portions of Georgia, it depends on the air mass in place, but a large portion of the area will be under this threat. So for this round, we think one of the biggest threats is going to be the large hail. We had talked about that a bit with the damaging winds and the isolated tornadoes. So we are going to continue to monitor, especially when it comes to the rain that's going to be exiting and cloud cover. So that's why our forecast confidence in this area, in this round, is around moderate at this time. When we get to round 3, though, our confidence is increasing because we do know that that cold front will be moving through. We do know it's a very strong front that's going to be making its way across the area. We do see the ingredients kind of pulling together, so our confidence is a bit higher when it comes to this. So we do anticipate this line to move through from northwest Georgia through central Georgia, really 9 p.m. through about 6 a.m. on Tuesday. So for folks in North Georgia, you can expect this line to be moving through Monday evening, and by the time you get to central Georgia, it's going to look more like around probably Monday night or so into early Tuesday morning. So the primary threat when it comes to this line, and typically what we see with this type of mechanism, is damaging wind gusts can be very strong, and then isolated tornadoes also a possibility, and then the large hail is still a threat as well. The uncertainty that unfolds with this round is going to be the timing of the front and the associated line of the storm. So what we went ahead and did was we're going to kind of break down the timing concern for those folks across North and Central Georgia. So we think that the main line will start to approach far northwest Georgia 8 p.m. Monday to maybe 10 p.m. On Monday, and then eventually move through Rome, approaching Blairsville later in the evening, so 10 p.m. to midnight, approaching Atlanta around midnight, maybe to 1 a.m. or so, and then crossing Atlanta and approaching Columbus 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., and then working its way through Macon between maybe 2 and 3 a.m., and then thereafter moving off and exiting to the southeast 3 a.m. to around 5 a.m. or so. The line will eventually sag. You might see it start to make more of a southward trend and start to slow a little bit, but we do think that this is basically the timeline that we're expecting. Also, the front will really have its act together across North Georgia, and by the time it gets through Atlanta, it will start to actually looks like it starts to peter out a little bit and really starts to diminish in its intensity as it moves further south. So it might start to break up a little bit. So in summary, with the 3 rounds of storms that we're expecting, we feel that there will be periods of showers and isolated storms Sunday evening through the overnight with moderate to heavy rain anticipated. That's going to be moving across central Georgia with showers eventually lifting north with the warm front later on in the overnight hours. Severe threat looks pretty minimal with this round. Then for the second round, we have thunderstorm development ahead of the cold front Monday afternoon through the evening hours on Monday. More discrete, more scattered in nature. Large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes can be expected with this. And then the last and final round with that main front that's going to be moving through, that will be Monday evening through Monday night from northwest to southeast with damaging winds possible. That will be the main threat. Then isolated tornadoes embedded within that line, and large hail is possible as well. So I do want to bring up that, a lot can change in the next 12 to 24 hours. We anticipate that we'll be updating the forecast as we go along, and so just please continue to monitor the forecasts through the next 12 to 24 hours. A lot will start to unfold, and we will gain confidence, especially getting into tomorrow morning as we see where the cloud cover is, that air mass in place. We'll start to refine things even more. As of right now, we don't have another webinar planned. And if we need to, we will. But for now, we just plan on sending updated emails to let everybody know of the new updated forecast. So just be on the lookout for those. I will be sending out this recording through email as well for anyone who may have missed it or would like to review it again. That will be available. And of course, our briefing webpage will have the PowerPoint and PDF on there. So if there are any questions at this time, I will open it up, and I'll open it up on the phone lines as well. So please let me know. You can put in chat if there's anything, any questions that you may have.
See what effect on tornado hit last year. There's some trees down over there. They look like they just got knocked down.
Are there any questions on the line? I unmuted everyone. So is there any questions? Okay. Not hearing anything. Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of their Sunday.
It looks like you had
Thank you.
Come through here a couple weeks ago or something.